Have you ever walked around your home and just felt off? Maybe the mess around the house is starting to pile up, or maybe it's honestly not the stuff. Maybe it's the actual mood of your home. Today, we're going to talk about how to make your home feel warm, peaceful, stable, and inviting, again, without spending a single dime, because I know all of us are trying to make every single penny count. And so in today's episode, I'm sharing practical steps you can take right now to reset your space, reset your mindset and your heart, because your home does not have to be perfect to feel like a sanctuary, feel like a heaven on earth. It just needs your presence. So let's get into it. Hey friend, welcome to Modern Homemaker Mom. Feeling stuck in the chaos? Do you find yourself in survival mode juggling all the things? If you're ready to regain control of your home, schedule, and time for yourself, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jynae, a wife, mom, and homemaker who turned my household chaos into purpose with simple, flexible routines. I'm here to help you create a cozy, clutter-free home and reclaim your time for what matters most. In this podcast, you'll find episodes around home routines, cycle syncing, and self-care practices so that you can eliminate the overwhelm and create a home that you love. Go grab that laundry basket and let's get started. Years ago, when I was still living with my mom and my stepdad, we went through not one, not two, but three major home renovations. I was 11 years old when we started the first one, and I believe I was 19, maybe even 20 when we finished the last final home renovation, the third one, and that was the biggest one. And like when I say renovation, I'm talking like OSB subfloors for months, like literally months, unfinished drywall, exposed 2x4s, dust everywhere, like constantly having to dust because my stepdad was doing the renovations himself. He's a carpenter by trade, and he had the saw going, doing all of the things, and there was just always this inch of dust on everything. But for someone like me who craves order and thrives in a peaceful space, even at a young age, like I know I said I was 11 years old when we started that first renovation, but even at that age, I really loved having a peaceful space. So even at that age, having that home, that peaceful home during all of these renovations, it just wasn't happening. But I literally remember telling myself, this is just for a season. You know, Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, it says there's a season and time for everything. I was reminding myself of that verse. This is just for a season. And even though my home was far from Pinterest worthy, we went through 3 different homes, 3 different renovations. From the beginning of the renovation, it was obviously very chaotic, but eventually we finished the reno and it was beautiful and finished. And then we sold the home and then we went and did it all over again. Even though during those really messy times, it was not Pinterest worthy whatsoever, I chose to steward that space the very best that I could, because, you know, at the end of the day, it was still a roof over my head and a safe place to sleep. And so sometimes you just have to shift your mindset a bit about those less than perfect situations that we're in and just realize, like, what is the good in this? So I was like, you know what? I have a safe place to go to sleep. I have a roof over my head. I am blessed. So I learned that even in those imperfect conditions, those small intentional choices could make a space for me feel very comforting and put together. And you know what? The lesson that stuck with me through all of that is we do not need more in our life. We often actually need less. Less clutter, less pressure, more presence, more simplicity. So for the training part that I have, the tacticals for today's episode, I want to jump into my first point, which is the energy of your home starts with you. Now, if you're trying to create and craft and put together this peaceful, orderly, well put together home, the very first place that you need to start is with yourself. Your presence, your mood, your spirit, it sets the tone of the home. So if you find yourself walking around your house and you're like, man, it just feels overwhelming, I feel overstimulated, the first thing that you need to do is like give yourself a heart check. Are you overwhelmed? Are you distracted? Are you feeling irritable? If you are, the biggest thing that I would suggest is prioritize stillness right in that moment. Spend time with God, spend time in the Word, journal, brain dump your mental clutter, get it all out of your head. Even if it's only 5 minutes, it doesn't have to be complicated. I'm not saying that you need to go spend hours doing this intensive, deep Bible study. Maybe you just need to be intentional about having 10 minutes with God, just bringing it to Him, praying to Him, maybe looking up a scripture that could comfort you in that time, seeing like, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Because a peaceful home has to start with your heart and your mind feeling at peace as well. Now, my second point is to declutter. So we talked about basically decluttering you, like decluttering your mind, but we also have to get rid of the physical clutter. So physical clutter is going to equal mental clutter. So yes, before this, we talked about it starting with you. Why are you overwhelmed? Well, if your house is physically messy, you've got clutter everywhere, this is going to lead to overstimulation, which does cause that overwhelm. So the first thing that you can do here is start small. I'm sure you've heard this before. I'm saying this to my students in my course all the time. Start small, pick one small area, one space, one drawer, one closet, clear it, simplify it, then take a step back, breathe. It feels so good to purge, to get rid of stuff, to put things away. You just need to create these small, consistent rhythms, these small resets that can happen without investing a ton of time. It's not always about those big weekend cleanups. Sometimes it's just about a 5-minute tidy. Now, if you really have no idea where to get started with decluttering and you would just like someone to show you how to do it, maybe a checklist, I have just that in my course, Modern Homemaker Method. So definitely come join us in there. I have checklists. I have step-by-step process of how you can go about this. We've got a whole step, a whole module all on decluttering your space. So definitely come join us in there if you want to learn more about that. I'd be happy to help you, to support you through this. We also have a student community where you can be posting your photos as you're going through the homework or as you're decluttering a space actually, and you want more support through that. You have a student community free for my students only when you join the course where you can gain more support just from me. So definitely check that out. Link in the show notes if you need it, or just go to jynaeschmid.com/Modern Homemaker Method and it'll take you right there. But something I'm always constantly remind myself is that God is a God of order. That stewardship begins with what's already in our hands. We have this home. Now we need to steward that properly. I like to think of it kind of this way. This is something I have talked about with my husband before. If you have a messy car, you're going to naturally probably keep it messier because, there's already trash on the floor. Maybe there's fingerprints on the windows, dust on the dashboard. It's already messy. So you're like, what's another thing to just throw on the floor? But if your car's clean and you get in that car, maybe like I've had my car detailed from my stepbrother. He detailed our car a few times for us. And so when I get in that car after it's been detailed, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so clean. I feel like I got to take off my shoes. Like it's so clean. I don't want to make it a mess. And then it stays clean for so long because it was kept clean. So it's kind of the same thing with your home. If your house is kept clean and you've kind of raised that standard a bit, you're going to naturally want to keep it clean more often. And your family will likely be the same way, especially if you're consistent with this because the standard's been raised. They expect that it's been kept that way, it's been clean, and they want it to stay that way because it feels good to you. It feels peaceful to you when it's kept in an orderly state. Whereas if there's mess everywhere, of course your kids are going to run in. They're not going to care if they got cookie crumbs on the floor. Your husband's not going to care if he tosses his wallet and keys on the counter if there's already a ton of stuff already on the counter. It's like, they think it's no big difference. Like it doesn't really matter because the house is already a mess. Whereas my husband sometimes on Fridays especially, I do a little bit of an extra clean on Fridays for the weekend. He comes home and he's like, man, the house is so clean. I feel like I should just make sure everything gets put away properly. And we kind of joke about it, but it's true. Like honestly, if you keep your house clean or your car clean, whatever it is that you have, we steward those things in a way that God would want us to. It's just easier to go about keeping it clean long term because the standard has been raised higher. And I'm not saying you can't live in your home, you can't get a few crumbs on the counter. Like obviously I want you to feel like you can live in your home. Like that's the whole purpose of this all. But it is important that we steward those things that we're given. If homemaking has been feeling complicated, exhausting, or like something you cannot keep up with, you're not the only one. And friend, it does not have to stay this way. That's exactly why I created the Modern Homemaker Method course. I've taken everything that feels heavy, confusing, or overwhelming about running a home, and I've turned it into a clear, step-by-step method that's actually doable. This course gives you practical rhythms, simplified systems, and daily routines that fit your life right now, even in the chaos of raising littles or children in general. You don't need to figure this out on your own or waste any more time trying things that don't stick, I've made this easy on purpose because I know you're already carrying enough. Head to jynaeschmid.com/Modern Homemaker Method to check it out. Again, that's JYNAESCHMID.com/Modern Homemaker Method to read more. You can also scroll down to the show notes of this episode where you can find the link that will take you right to the website there. I'm here to help you one step at a time to make your home feel like a place of peace. So again, head over to jynaeschmid.com/Modern Homemaker Method to get started. Okay, another way to make your home feel more inviting, like it's gotten a refresh, is to just rearrange. All you have to do is just give a space kind of a new perspective. You don't need something new. You don't need more items or more stuff. You just need to move things around. Rearranging a room, swapping out furniture, swapping out things like throw pillows or textiles like throw blankets, even just cleaning up the dust bunnies underneath of a couch or behind a dresser, I think makes the space instantly feel more put together and more inviting, more warm, more welcoming. All you need to do is just focus on one space. Usually, I would recommend a living room, maybe a bedroom. My grandma, for as long as I can remember, a couple times a year, she rearranges her living room and her two spare bedrooms on the top floor. And I don't know, I guess it rubbed off on me because even as a little kid, a couple times a year, I would also rearrange my bedroom and I just loved it. It brought new life, new energy to the home. And so you can do the exact same thing. Now, point number 4 I have for how you can make your home feel more inviting without spending a dime is just keep in mind, less is really more. Too much stuff, even pretty things. Like I'm just going to put it out there. Even if it's pretty decor, having too much just becomes overstimulating. Sometimes we just need to allow our homes to breathe. I mean, you also have to think about the more stuff you have in your home, the more items you have to clean around, the more stuff you have to move when you're going to pull out a bookshelf or vacuum under the couch or all of that. Or if you're going to dust, like dusting alone. Dusting is one of my least favorite chores, but dusting alone is going to take twice as long when you have so much out on the shelves, so much out on the table, so much out on the bookshelf. So sometimes less is more. Simplicity is always going to be the key here. Now, my last point for today's teaching is that you can set the tone with the things that you already have in your home. I think it's actually interesting because your 5 senses that we have, see, smell, taste, touch, whatever, like those really power your entire experience of your space or whatever space that you're ever in. Like think of maybe your favorite coffee shop. Like what does it sound like? How does it smell? Like those all create this experience. So what you can do in your own home, if you're trying to set that tone of peace, that stability, that relaxing atmosphere, just go ahead, open some windows. Fresh air is always great. You can play worship or calming music in the background, not like overpowering, just soft. I'm always often playing instrumental music. You go ahead, fluff your pillows, your couch pillows, fold the throw blankets, light a candle. Just be intentional because you can create these feelings in your home. Because it's not always necessarily just about the aesthetics. Sometimes it's just about the experience. So in conclusion, I really hope that today gave you some clarity, and I hope that it gave you permission to just embrace your space right where it's at. I'm sure that feels good to hear, that you don't really have to even make a whole lot of changes. You can just make some small tweaks to make your space a little more inviting with what you already have in your home. And if you want more support, more structure, more strategies for creating a home that's filled with peace, with stability, with purpose, I really do invite you to join me inside the Modern Homemaker Method course, because this is where we take everything that you heard today and we go even deeper. We set rhythms, we simplify your home, and we start building those routines that fit your life, not necessarily someone else's standards. So come join us at jynaeschmid.com/Modern Homemaker Method, or go to the show notes below. The link's there for you. I can't wait to walk you through this and hold your hand through it all. And lastly, if you haven't already, definitely go ahead, hit the follow button or share this episode with a friend. This is the very best way that you can thank me for the content that I share here, that I put out each week for you, and it allows me to continue doing what I'm doing here. It's really my goal to help as many women as possible get on top of the mess in their home and create that heaven on earth that they desire, create more time and more flexibility to do the things that they love so that they're not spending so much time trying to tackle the mess, because now they'll have more freedom once the mess is already tackled. So I'll see you next week for another episode of the Modern Homemaker Mom podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before you go, if this podcast has encouraged or helped you in any way, the best way that you can show your support is by subscribing to the show and leaving a written 5-star review. Your words truly make my day and remind me why I love sharing here. You can also snap a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or post it to your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag me at Her Stable Home. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I will see you next time.